Anne-Marie Dargan, and I head up the memberships and subscriptions team at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Okay, so Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur, famous club of course, and big connection here in Ireland as well. You might give us an outline of that first here and the connection in Dungarvan as well, Anne-Marie.
Sure. Yeah, so there's lots of Spurs fans all over Ireland. We have quite a few Irish season ticket holders and even more Irish members that travel regularly across for matches. And then in addition, we have over 10 supporters clubs in Ireland. So these are groups of fans who gather together to watch the matches. Typically, we've got 334 supporters clubs all over the world. Typically, they're groups of people who don't regularly attend matches because they live abroad, but they come together in their home cities or towns and watch the games together. So we've got one sports club in Waterford. Recently, we've had a new one join us in Dungarvan, based out of Downey's Pub. So it's Dungarvan Spurs.
Okay, yeah. Excellent, absolutely. And the connection with Downey's and John McGrath as well. Spurs pub, of course, is a big sports pub, but it's a big Spurs pub as well.
Big Spurs pub. There's a lot of the lads in there now I meet regularly. They come over for the games and come and see Spurs. And when they're not over at White Hart Lane, they're watching the match in Downey's.
Excellent. And you might give us an outline then of what your role involves as membership officer, and obviously dealing with a lot of faces, I'm sure. Challenging?
Yes. Oh, it's great. I love it. I mean, I'm a Spurs fan myself. I was a season ticket holder before I joined the club, so I have a good understanding of the fans and what they need and how we should best look after them. So my role covers managing supporters clubs and trying to grow our supporters clubs all around the world. So at the moment now we have more supporters clubs than any of the other Premiership teams, which is great. So 334, as I said, all over the world. I also look after our membership programme, our One Hotspur membership programme. So we have 140,000 members. Again, primarily around the UK and Ireland. These are typically people who come to games, and then I also look after season ticket holders and managing the fan experience of those. And then we're also about to launch a Spurs TV channel, so that will be a subscription TV channel, which I'm looking after subscriptions for as well.
Excellent. Busy time ahead. So, and of course, the connection as well with fans, it's really evident, especially cross channel, I suppose, in England, but particularly the Premier League as well. The fans, they mean so much, and I suppose their weeks and things, it hinges on how the team is doing, really, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the club isn't a club without the fans. It's the fans that make the club what it is. But it's different. Before I worked in football, in other jobs, it was you're less you have more control of your destiny. But with football, it's very much based on how well the team is doing. So on-field performance has a huge impact on everything we do, and our numbers and the fan engagement and fan satisfaction. So it is all really down to what happens on the field.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking, I suppose, leads us nicely onto the on-field activities. A lively encounter between Spurs and Liverpool at the end, and I suppose they are, after a slow start, they're creeping up that table.
Yeah. I think signing Conte was a big step up for the club and kind of signalled the club's intentions to try and win some silverware this year. So he seems to have really upped the team. Definitely you can see the difference on the field. The performances have improved. So hopefully he'll continue to do so. And
he's passionate on the line as well, like the fans, I suppose, isn't he?
Himself and Clough on the sideline were quite entertaining, weren't they?
Yeah, they certainly were indeed. Yeah, absolutely. But it's great to see. It's great to have the games as well, and of course the fans as well, having them back in stadiums as well. How much does that mean, I suppose, to have them back, I suppose?
Oh, huge. And you could see even the results. When the games were behind closed doors, you could see the home advantage was just totally gone. It makes such a big difference to having the fans in the stadium. So it's great to have fans back. Though what we are seeing, we're seeing, and all the clubs are experiencing it, there's a much higher no-show rate than we would have seen in other years. So some season ticket holders aren't comfortable coming into stadiums. So we've seen, and you would have seen against Liverpool, normally there wouldn't be an empty seat in the house. But you could see, if you're watching the TV on Sunday, there was quite a few empty seats as people become more cautious travelling to games and going into big stadiums. So whilst the games are still, the stadiums are open to fans, we have seen a reduction in people actually turning up to the games.
Okay, great stuff. And heading into a busy Christmas period now on and off the field, so is that pretty much hands-on for yourself?
Yeah. I'm less involved on the match day stuff, so I'm not as impacted. But for those that are, I think we have 6 home games in December, so it's just one after the other. So it's a busy time for the club.
And what would be a good season now from as being a Spurs fan? Where would you like to end up, or silverware? Is it
top 4 would be brilliant, but not being in the Champions League is really impacted us with that great run a couple of years ago. and playing in the Conference League is just not the same. In terms of the fans, in terms of the money that you make as well. So being in Champions League is huge for all the Premier League clubs, to retaining players and the TV rights money. It's very important. So I think that would be, for me personally as a fan, that's what I'd like to see the club finishing.
Super stuff. And a final point, you're been around Dungarvan the last couple of days. I know there was the launch in Downey's last night, which unfortunately I missed out on myself, but always nice to come back to Dungarvan.
Oh, great. And it was nice to sit. John was a great host, and sit with all the Spurs fans and chat about Spurs and have a few pints and before we had to leave at 8 o'clock.
Which is pretty challenging in itself, but Anne-Marie, it's great to catch up with you, and enjoy the Christmas, and sure, hopefully we might catch up again in the future.
Great, nice to talk to you. Thanks, Gavin.